The sky was already dark when I pulled into the driveway, headlights sweeping across the front of the house I thought I still lived in. My knees ached from standing 8 hours straight at the clinic, and I was looking forward to nothing more than a hot shower and half a leftover sandwich. Instead, what I saw made me sit in the driver's seat a few seconds longer than usual, trying to make sense of it. Black trash bags, 6 or 7 of them, were piled neatly on the porch steps. My old winter coat was draped over one like a tarp. I recognized the edge of a flannel shirt poking out from a half-tied bag. My canvas tote was lying on its side, my reading glasses still tucked in the front pocket. I stepped out slowly, my body stiff from the cold and from age, but something heavier was settling on my chest. Tara stood just inside the open door phone, pointed directly at me. Her voice came quick and bright, like she was narrating a cooking video. And here she is. The final reveal, sorry, Lorna. It's just for the TikTok challenge. Don't be so dramatic. She laughed, but it was empty. Not cruel, just careless. I looked past her, searching for the one face that could stop this. Damon. He was in the hallway holding his phone too, though not recording. He met my eyes, but didn't walk forward. Come on, Mom, he said. It's not personal, just a trend. You'll be fine for a few days. That's all he said. No explanation, no plan, not even an apology. I nodded slowly. Not because I understood, but because I had no words left to offer. I bent down, gathered the bags one by one, careful not to make a sound, and walked them back to my car. They didn't follow me. No one offered help. The porch light clicked off before I finished loading the trunk. I drove until I saw the blue glow of a 24-hour supermarket and pulled into the far end of the lot. Parked between 2 delivery vans, I adjusted the driver's seat as far back as it would go, tucked my coat under my head, and shut my eyes. The last thing I heard was the buzz of a new video notification. Tara's voice echoing in my head. I didn't open it. I already knew what it said. I never imagined I'd end up in the backseat of my own car using my winter coat as a pillow, but things don't fall apart all at once. They shift in quiet ways long before they shatter. After Paul died, the house felt too big, too silent. 42 years of marriage gone with a blood clot in the night. I kept working at the factory for another year, more out of habit than need. When my back finally gave out, I took early retirement. The checks were enough to scrape by, but rent kept climbing, and eventually I gave up the house. Damon offered before I even asked. Just until you get your footing again, Mom, he'd said, smiling the way he used to when he was 10, and wanted extra dessert. We've got the space. And they did. A split level just outside Murfreesboro, big enough for the kids, a home office, and a guest room that became mine. At first, it worked. I helped where I could, picked up the kids from school, packed lunches, folded endless loads of laundry. I cooked dinners, fixed the leaky kitchen tap, even paid for new tires on Damon's truck when money got tight. Tara never said no to the help, but her thanks always felt rehearsed. She started filming everything first. It was the kids, then dinner prep, then these daily family moments that felt more staged than lived. I didn't mind being in the background, but then she started turning everything into content. The way I made biscuits, the way I folded towels. Once I spilled a jar of jam and slipped a little. She laughed and uploaded it with the caption, "Granny fail." It got thousands of likes. I told myself it was harmless, that she didn't mean anything by it. I ignored how her smile tightened when I walked into a room, how Damon started checking his phone more than looking me in the eye. I thought if I stayed helpful, stayed small, I'd always have a place there. I was wrong. The porch had made that clear, but it wasn't the last time they'd try to turn me into a spectacle. The first night was the worst. Not because of the cold, though, that crept in slowly, stiffening my joints, but because I kept hoping it was a misunderstanding. That maybe Damon would call. that maybe Tara's video was just a prank and they'd be knocking on my car window with some sheepish apology. No one came. By morning, the ache in my neck was joined by a deeper kind one I couldn't stretch out. I drove to a gas station, splashed water on my face in the restroom, and combed my hair with my fingers. I stood under the flickering fluorescent light, looking at the woman in the mirror who used to have a home. Later that day, I found out what they'd posted. A young girl at the grocery counter whispered to her coworker when I came through. "That's the mom from the challenge," she said, not softly enough. I had no idea what she meant until I borrowed a coworker's phone during break and searched Tara's page. There I was, half shadowed, half stunned, backed by a sound clip I didn't recognize. The caption read, "POV, you evict your mom for clout, your challenge accepted to your family drama." It had over 200,000 likes in one night. The comments hit harder than the cold. "She's just mad because rent was free. Boomers always want to live rent-free and complain. Acting like she's homeless when she had a place." I didn't have the words for what I felt. I only knew that a piece of me cracked open. No one called. Not even to pretend it wasn't what it looked like. I parked behind a tire shop that night. The wind rattled my window as I used a grocery bag to cover myself. In the morning, I brushed my teeth with a bottle of water and wiped my face with a paper napkin from my glove box. Gas station bathrooms became routine. So did the silence from Damon. Each night, I'd park in a different spot, far enough from houses, close enough to other cars that I wouldn't draw attention. But inside, something had begun to stir. Not anger, not yet. Just the sense that I was disappearing, and no one even noticed. That's why when the man collapsed in the aisle 3 days later, I didn't hesitate. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon, aisle 5. I was stocking canned goods, mine half on the shelf, half on my aching shoulder, when I heard it. A strange gasp, then the sound of something hitting tile. I turned and saw a woman sprawled on the floor near the cereal display. At first, I thought she'd fainted, but then I saw her chest wasn't moving. Her lips were pale. People froze. A man dropped his basket and backed away. Someone pulled out their phone. No one moved toward her, but I did. I don't remember deciding to kneel beside her. I don't remember choosing to act. I just knew what needed to be done. I tilted her head back, checked her mouth, and started compressions. The rhythm came back to me like muscle memory buried deep from a CPR class I took when Damon was in middle school. "Somebody call 911, I barked. No one answered, but I heard a voice repeating my words in the background. I kept pressing. 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted under my breath louder than I needed to just to keep myself from panicking. I don't know how long I worked on her. Long enough for my knees to go numb. Long enough for someone to finally kneel beside me and say, "We've got it from here." The paramedics moved quickly. One of them looked at me, startled. "You did this?" he asked. I just nodded, wiped my forehead, and stood with effort. As they wheeled her away, I stepped back behind the shelves, grabbed my cart, and rolled it into the stockroom like nothing had happened. My hands shook a little, but I didn't want anyone to see. I didn't stay for the questions. I didn't want my name in anything. I clocked out 10 minutes early and walked straight to my car. That night, I slept in the same spot I always did, across from the auto parts store. But something felt different, not about where I was, but about who I was. And by the next morning, that moment in aisle 5 was all over the news. I didn't find out about the news segment until a coworker texted me the link. The headline read, "Retired factory worker saves woman in grocery store community. Calls her a hero." My name was in the article. So was the store. Someone had caught a piece of it on video, a shaky clip showing my back hunched over the woman, steady and calm, while others stood frozen. By noon, Channel 4 had called the store, asking to speak with me. By 3, a reporter found me in the parking lot during my break. I didn't say much. I told them I was just doing what anyone would do. But they kept asking, so I answered politely, softly. I didn't tell them where I lived. I didn't tell them I didn't. That weekend, the mayor's office invited me to a community breakfast. I almost didn't go, but my supervisor insisted, said it might be good for me. I stood next to the mayor while she read a plaque out loud, shaking my hand like I was someone that mattered. People clapped. A few teared up. A woman hugged me so tight I could smell her shampoo. Afterwards, a younger man approached me. I run a podcast, Everyday Light. Would you be willing to come on and talk about what happened? I hesitated. He added, not just the CPR part, your story, whatever you want to share. 2 days later, I sat in a folding chair in a makeshift studio in the back of a print shop. He asked simple questions. I gave honest answers. I told him about Paul, about working 40 years and raising a son who once brought me soup when I had the flu. I didn't mention Tara. I didn't need to. But I ended with this. I saved a stranger's life last week. And that same week, I slept in my car. Because my own family filmed me getting kicked out and thought it was funny enough to post. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, that's going to sit with people. He was right. The episode went live the next morning, and by evening, it had over 30,000 plays. And before the week was out, the internet found the other video, the one Tara had posted. It didn't take long. By the end of the week, someone had connected the dots: my name from the podcast, the town, the grocery store, and found Tara's video buried under a different title. It had been reposted, rebranded, reshared so many times I lost count. Only now the tone was different. People weren't laughing anymore. They were furious. The comments came in waves. Wait, this is the mom who saved someone's life. She got kicked out for a TikTok and still had the heart to help a stranger. Unforgivable. This family doesn't deserve her. Old posts of Tara's were flooded. Her cooking tutorials, her parenting hacks, all buried under thousands of replies, calling her selfish, cruel, heartless. Some people even found Damon's workplace and started tagging the company. It wasn't just random strangers either. Women in their 50s and 60s wrote essays in the comments. Veterans, nurses, single moms. They weren't defending me, they were identifying with me. That, I think, is what really broke the dam. By Sunday night, Damon had called 3 times, left one voicemail. Mom, we didn't mean for it to get this far. Can we please talk? We messed up. Just call me back. I didn't. The message sat unopened for 2 more days. On Wednesday, Tara tried texting me herself. We're getting death threats because of that podcast. Please take it down. It wasn't my podcast. It wasn't my video. It was just my story, and they'd handed me the first half of it when they put me on that porch. They stopped posting after that. Shut down comments. Deleted old clips. But the screenshots lived on. So did the Stitch videos. So did the rage. I didn't respond to Damon. Not yet. I wasn't ready. Not because I needed to think. Because I wasn't done. They had made me into content. I had become a headline. But beneath all the noise, something inside me had begun to sharpen. And the more they tried to clean their mess, the more I remembered what they'd buried. The voicemail played in my head more than I cared to admit. Damon's voice low, nervous, like he still thought there was a version of me who would sweep this under the rug for the sake of peace. But I wasn't that version anymore. I pulled the old file box from the trunk of my car, the one I hadn't opened since leaving the house. Inside were years of paperwork I'd brought with me when I moved in with them: tax forms, bank statements, receipts. I didn't know what I was looking for at first. I just knew I didn't want to forget anything. Then I saw it. A bank transfer from 3 years ago, $2,500 withdrawn from my checking account the same month Paul died. A text from Damon still saved on my old flip phone. I'll pay you back when things settle down. Promise. He never did. Further down the pile, I found photocopies of tax returns. Not mine, Tara's. She'd printed them once and left them on the dining table. I'd kept them by accident, or maybe instinct. I scanned through them, my stomach sinking, as I spotted my name listed as a dependent. Not once, but twice. She'd claimed me without asking, without telling me, just to boost her refund. It wasn't just insulting, it was illegal. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't write a public post. I spent an afternoon scanning everything: bank transfers, text messages, screenshots, emails, and uploaded them to a clean USB drive. I filed a report with the IRS, submitted anonymously. I printed a second set and mailed it to Tara's employer in a plain envelope. No return address, no note. Then I did the same with Damon's file copies of the bank records and text to the HR department at his logistics company. I didn't expect them to fire him, just to know. Just enough to place a question mark beside his name. I didn't smile when I finished. I didn't cry either. I just felt still. They had built their comfort on my silence. Now that silence was working against them. And the next time I saw Damon, he didn't look like someone ready to apologize. He looked like someone waiting for the next piece to fall. I didn't go back to the house for revenge. I went back to see it one last time, not as the woman who used to live there, but as someone who no longer needed it. I parked 3 doors down, same spot as that first night. The porch looked smaller than I remembered. The shrubs untrimmed, the paint around the door starting to peel. Tara's car was in the driveway. Damon's truck, too. I stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed, heart steady. I didn't move closer. I didn't knock. Damon stepped out to get the mail and froze when he saw me. He hesitated before walking over. No swagger, no certainty. Just the weight of something he couldn't quite hold anymore. "Mom," he said carefully, "what are you doing here?" I looked him in the eye the way he once couldn't look at me. "I'm just checking in," I said, making sure everything's still functioning. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I could see the calculation behind his eyes, whether to apologize, explain, deflect. "We didn't mean," he started. "You meant every word I interrupted. You filmed me leaving. Now the world's watching you." He blinked, like the words had struck somewhere soft. "I forgave you," I added, "but I didn't forget. And now neither will anyone else." I didn't wait for him to respond. I turned and walked back to my car. I didn't need him to chase me. He already had enough chasing him. Life now is quiet, but it's mine. I rent a small upstairs unit above a bookstore on the Indiana side of the river. It smells like old paper and coffee, and the floor creaks when I walk across it. I don't mind. It reminds me that I'm somewhere I belong. I work part-time at a local food pantry, nothing fancy, sorting cans, filling bags, but the routine keeps my hands busy and my spirit steady. On Saturdays, I speak at the community center. Sometimes it's a room full of veterans. Sometimes it's just 3 seniors in folding chairs. They listen, really listen when I talk about being invisible, about what it means to give everything and still be discarded. I never use Damon or Tara's names. I don't need to. The story stands without them. People approach me afterward, nurses, janitors, grandmothers, and say things like, "That was me last year." Or, "My daughter did the same thing, but I never told anyone." I never know what to say, so I just hold their hands and nod. Sometimes that's enough. Every once in a while I see my grandkids, at the library, a field trip, one of their school plays. We don't talk, not yet, but they see me. They wave. That's a start. I don't check Tara's page anymore, but people still send me things. The audit went through. Turns out she'd claimed more than just me. Fines piled up. Legal fees. Her job let her go quietly. Damon was demoted after the HR inquiry. They sold the house last spring and moved across town. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't post about it. Some stories aren't meant to be shouted. They're meant to be lived through. I've been invited to speak at a regional conference next fall. Topic: digital dignity and elder exploitation. I'm drafting my notes slowly in the mornings when the bookstore is still closed and the sunlight hits the window just right. I start every speech the same way. Now my name is Lorna Kessler. I'm a mother, a widow, a woman who once believed silence was safety. But I've learned that silence only protects the wrong people. That line always lands hard. They tried to turn me into shame. I became a name instead. They wanted followers. I found purpose